The people united will never be defeated.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine.
Where they intend to demolish every standing building in Gaza and launch a large-scale ground operation.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. We start with a New Haven rally to mark 77 years of the Nakba for Palestinians.
Without lies, Zionism dies.
Without lies, Zionism dies. Palestine will be free. From the sea to the river.
Palestine will live forever. Down, down with genocide.
Down, down with genocide.
Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free, free Palestine.
The people united will never be defeated.
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 The people united will never be defeated. Free, free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free.
NBC News recently reported, chilling, inhumane, that the United States has considered relocating Palestinians to Libya. Relocating. Shame. Relocating as if Palestinians are disposable. As if Palestinians do not belong to the olive groves, the stone houses, the cities that their ancestors built. As if Palestine is not theirs. This is not just policy, it's ethnic cleansing disguised as diplomacy. And where is the outcry? Where is the leadership from our so-called allies in the region? Saudi Arabia, one of the wealthiest and most powerful nations in the Middle East, has floated $600 billion investment into the United States, even as Gaza is reduced to rubble. They issue weak calls for a ceasefire while standing idle. Much like our Democratic Party, they posture on stages and in statements, but they have not lifted a real hand to help their Palestinian brothers and sisters suffering just across the border. That is not neutrality, that is betrayal.
I'm Eamon O, and I'm Irish American. I'm a member of Connecticut DSA, and I serve on the steering committee of the Connecticut Palestine Solidarity Coalition. Today, as I speak, in Ireland, they're commemorating the Great Famine, which killed almost 1 million people and led to 1.5 million Irish people leaving Ireland, coming to the United States, coming to other places. And also as I speak, there's a famine in Gaza, and Gazans are starving as food rots at the border, to the eternal shame of every single politician in this country and everyone who enabled that. Shame. Another one of the colonialist tools of repression is manufactured right here in Connecticut. In West Hartford, Colts Manufacturing is sending tens of thousands of assault rifles to Ben-Gvir's fascist police and the Israeli army that's rampaging in Gaza and the West Bank. We need your help to stop them. We are rallying outside of Colts facility in West Hartford every Friday at 4 p.m.
Marchers stopped to hear from 3 of the hunger strikers protesting the starvation in Gaza.
Every hour we participate in this act of protest is intentional. Collectively, we have lost 60 pounds. Some strikers have had their blood sugar drop below 40, lost more than 10% of their body weight and become underweight, and experience dangerously low blood pressure. And still we continue. Each of us continues to strike because above all, we are grounded in our commitments to the people of Gaza. Our demands are rooted in precedent, logic, and attainability. Maury McInnes and the Yale Corporation could meet them at any time. In response to our hunger strike, Yale admin inundated us with constant harassment by police, Yale security officers, and so-called free speech facilitators during our most physically vulnerable moments. And to that we say shame! Shame! Administrators have stooped low. They have threatened us with coercive hospitalization, threatened arrest for sitting indoors after not allowing hypotensive students to sit on chairs outside, and have blatantly fabricated and manipulated supposed policies to suppress our desperate message even as we starve before them. Maury McGinnis, the people are watching.
The hunger strikers held out for 10 days. We salute them. Speaking of cult, video from their Friday, May 23rd protest.
So we're outside of the coal factory in West Hartford, which produces armaments for Israel.
Shame on you. You are killing children too. Shame on you.
Shame on you.
You are killing children too. 250,000 people dead. CZ Colt, your hands are red. 250,000 people dead. CZ Colt, your hands are red. Colt, you can't hide. You are arming genocide. Colt, you can't hide. You are arming genocide.
White Plains, New York saw a Nakba protest.
From the sea to the river! Palestine will live forever! From the sea to the river! Palestine will live forever!
Freedom!
What do you want? Freedom! What do you want? Justice! When do you want it? Now! When do you want it? When do you want it?
I walked around them. Wow. Anyway, so I'm gonna
As we're marching today, we are gathering here for, as you all know, for the 77 years of Nakba, the catastrophe that took place in 1948. We've probably been hearing about it for the past week. If you know about Palestine for the past years, every single year, we stand somewhere in our region, in our cities, in our neighborhood to just say that we're still remembering. We're still remembering that Palestine is our land. That Palestine had Palestinians who lived there, who were kicked out, genocided, displaced for 77 years. And unfortunately, it's a continuous Nakba. It's a continuous catastrophe. It actually did not stop. And we can see it now more than before. We can see it in Gaza, in Tulkarem, in Jenin. I'll leave all the statistics and all the details and political updates for you when you go home and you see your feeds, because now we cannot just keep talking about it. But as we're marching today, I want to invite you to feel your pain. We have so much pain and we have so much rage, and our bodies are really tired, and we're very, very disappointed, and we have all the right to feel so. But in order for us to make a change, we have to feel those feelings, what's gonna bring us forward, recognizing the amount of catastrophe that we're actually in. Because if we don't know where we're at right now, we will not know how to go to that vision that we have, to build this world that we really imagine, instead of the one that it's imposed on us, full of blood and oppression. And in the past, it was all the way in this Middle East, far away, in this far place. It's getting closer and closer by day. I do believe and know every single one of us feel it in their neighborhoods, in their city. How many of us lost a job? How many of us was attacked, harassed, just for the sake of saying, I want the end of this genocide. I don't want humans to be killed. Like the basic thing any human on this earth would ever ask for. And we're here not only for the Nakba, but also today is the birthday, the 100th birthday of Malcolm X. 100 years.
He's an inspiration.
He's an inspiration, he's a leader, he's a Muslim, black American who spoke to the consciousness of the American people. He was not just preaching, he actually was talking right through, piercing the consciousness, which they tried to manipulate. On his time it was 100 years. And it's still happening. You read his quotes, it's still applied till this day. And he always spoke about Zionism. And he always saw that the struggle for black people is connected to the global struggle of all oppressed people. He always thought that if you fought for Palestine, you're actually fighting for the liberation of all human beings. It's all one fight against colonialism and against imperialism, against capitalism. It's all one thing. It's not religion.
Jewish Voice for Peace New Orleans shared photos of a rally of 300 people in Jena, Louisiana on May 22nd. Jena houses the huge ICE jail for immigrants, among whom is Mahmoud Khalil. Khalil's wife, Dr. Noor Abdallah, traveled 1,400 miles with their newborn child to attend an immigration court hearing and was able to visit him in the jail. She brought their newborn child, and thankfully, prison officials allowed Mahmoud Khalil to hold his newborn son. The court's decision is likely 10 days away. See the site of Promoting Enduring Peace for ways to help the Khalil family. A rally for immigrant rights took place in Danbury, Connecticut. Among their issues was the Trust Act. Immigrants without papers are allowed to get driver's licenses in Connecticut, and so the state has a lot of data on them. One thing immigrants are pressing for is this Trust Act that would require that state agencies that hold this data do as much as possible to keep names, addresses, phone numbers, and such away from ICE.
When we fight, when we fight, and when do we need that Trust Act? Now. When do we need Husky for immigrants? Now. When do we need just cause? Now. When do we need fair transit? Now. When do we need to lift the guardrails to fund the programs that our communities need? Now. Today, funding for tomorrow, funding for the rest of our time here in Connecticut. Because we don't need them to give us funding today and then tomorrow cut it, right? We need a real promise from the governor to pick a side and to pick the side of the people who put him in office. Is that right? Yeah. That's right. Because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And we're gonna keep fighting, because even though there's only 2 weeks left of session, we have a lot of work left to do. And when session ends, our fight doesn't. Our fight continues.
The state of Connecticut must face the reality that we are in. They must suspend the fiscal guardrails so that we can have the funding for our communities and pass the Trust Act so our communities can be protected from all of the threats that we are facing. Am I right about that?
Yes!
Hello, my name is Marlon Pereira. I am the base building and solidarity intern for Connecticut Students for a Dream. I have a passage to read, very brief. Terrible things are happening outside. Poor, helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. Families are torn apart. Men, women, and children are separated. Children come home from school to find that their parents have disappeared. Anne Frank, 1943. This passage could have been written today, here in Danbury, Connecticut, where ISIS kidnapped people from their homes or off the streets. Does any of this sound like progress?
No.
Right now in Danbury and across the state, we are facing high rents, high electricity bills, and high grocery bills. And while people experience the violence of price gouging and evictions, now both citizens and immigrants have to worry about being kidnapped off the street and getting deported to a country they do not know, or separated from their families and put in cages of abusive and inhumane detention centers, which can only be described as modern-day concentration camps.
And again, my name is Clementina Lunar. I've been living in Danbury for over 30 years, and I'm an immigrant from Mexico. I'm part of the Greater Danbury United for Immigrants, an organization formed by local leaders before the presidential elections, because we consider the possibility of the current president re-election. Our organization provides Know Your Rights workshops open to the public. We need the support of the entire community. That's why I hope that some of the people who are part of it have the QR code. So if you want to scan it, please do it, because we need the support of volunteers. Since the beginning of the current administration, our city has often had a strong ICE presence. We must stop the separation of families, the tension, and the fear and despair. This is an attack to our community. We must fight together. It cannot keep happening. We must do it. Yes.
Scan this QR code that gets you to a form that sends an email to Connecticut politicians supporting the Trust Act and other causes mentioned at the rally. Now, from a talk by Palestinian-American political analyst Tawfiq Haddad.
And I've spent the greater part of the last 25 years overseas in Palestine. With today's talk, it's a small, intimate gathering. I take it that most folks here are long dedicated, have been part of the game, let's say, for the last who knows how long, but certainly at least since October 23. And I intend with my talk today to sort of, use this as an opportunity for us to sort of like have an open discussion. And I will attempt to provide a presentation in terms of how I see the situation, and then we can see how we can sort of attempt to translate that into action and a way to look forward as we go forward from this room, I guess. So I think, as everyone will know in this room, we're approaching 20 months of an ongoing genocide. The statistics from a conservative perspective are horrific and daunting. We're talking about 53,000 people who have been documented to have been killed, but of course the estimates are much higher in terms of missing, as well as people who may have died in indirect ways. The 125,000 injured, 2 million people displaced, 18,000 people detained, 175,000 homes destroyed, and this all for a territory that the United Nations declared to be unlivable in 2012, right? And that it was a toxic environment with 98% of its water polluted. In addition to the fact that, of course, the majority of the population of the Gaza Strip are refugees themselves and displaced persons. So we're talking about multiply displaced persons, unable to even exercise an ability to become refugees again, or we're talking about refugees being bombed in their own refugee camp, right? And being denied that. So we're in a Orwellian world of kinds of oppression, let alone to speak of the kinds of technology that have been used to facilitate that. Joseph Borrell, who was the European Union Vice President recently retired, received some sort of fancy European award called the Charles V European Award on on just last Friday. And he had the following to say, which I think is quite telling. He said, we are witnessing, and this is the head of the number 2 in the EU. He said, we are witnessing the largest ethnic cleansing operation since the end of World War II, for the sole purpose of creating a splendid holiday destination once the millions of tons of Gaza's rubble are cleared and the Palestinians are either gone or dead. I mean, he continues by saying, we use a double standard when judging crimes against humanity, depending on who commits them. He references the 1941 Holocaust-era Babin Yar's massacre, where 34,000 Jews were murdered by Nazis, saying that their bodies remain buried at the bottom of those ravines, but uses that as a way to bridge and say they had not yet industrialized death. The gas chambers had not yet been invented. They were shot one by one in the back of the neck. And then he adds that eliminating human beings because they belong to an ethnic group is one of the greatest atrocities humanity has committed, and the Jews paid an enormous price for that. But it was not the Palestinians who killed the Jews, and we do not have the right to pass on our responsibility or make them pay to ease our guilt. So, these are statements not from some radical left-wing who knows who, or, this is from the center of power, now he's not in power, but he's declaring very... What it speaks to, I think, is a form of extreme crisis and even within elites as to how the Gaza genocide is basically undermining the entire post-World War II and Atlanticist order, and it is one facet of a larger set of this decline and this sort of collapse, so to speak, in this era of history. Of course, at the same time, Israel has also declared that if Trump returns from his Middle East trips without a deal, that Israel is willing and will launch its final solution. And they're basically saying it that way, where they intend to demolish every standing building in Gaza and launch a large-scale ground operation. To finally uproot whatever Hamas is the declared thing. But ultimately what they say and declare that they want to do is they want to create a sanitized zone in the south, in Rafah. Of course, it's not by chance that they pick Rafah because it's right next to the Egyptian border. And after starving the Palestinians in Gaza, which they've been doing for the last 2 months, to put the food there and to force people to come in to get any kind of food, and then use that as a kind of leverage, as a way to, and they're very clear about it, to ship people out. So a very, open, in your face, we're going to do this kind of ethnic cleansing, right? Despite Israel's goals being that we're going to eliminate, and anyone else outside of the sanitized zone, of course, will be killed, okay? So that's the plan. They're saying it up front. The question is, what do we do about it, right? And I can understand and I appreciate that those are big questions and they're demoralizing questions. But at the same time, I also want to argue that they shouldn't be demobilizing. And it is our obligation to sort of use our intellect and our will and our intention to understand the situation, to try and understand the weaknesses of it, to try and understand what we can do as individuals, but as well as communities, and enact forms of collective action to be able to stand up to this historical responsibility and what we're encountering today. So hopefully this discussion will be part of that. But I don't want to pretend that I have all the answers, and I also want to say that the lay of the land is broad. It's not, this discussion is being heard in New Haven, Connecticut today in the beginning of May, but it might look different in California, or it might look different in England, or in other parts of the world where people may be listening to this. So there's no cookie cutter approach to things, but we can generally use, similar tools of analysis. And I will also hopefully provide a little bit of a guide for what I think, how people can take the broad analysis and create more focused, context-specific answers.
More from Tawfiq Haddad next week. "1111." It's not some mystic number. It's the number of consecutive weekly The Struggle video news that we've cablecast since 2003. When we hit 1,000, we thought of making a big deal of it, but there was too much going on. So here we are at program 1111, and we're going to make a small fuss. We're kind of proud of what we've accomplished in giving voice to people who are not famous, but who are doing good work. Besides our complete shows, we've uploaded 1,500 other of our videos. Full interviews, complete marches, etc. up on our YouTube channel, The Struggle Video News. You can support our work by writing comments below our YouTubes, giving them the thumbs up, sharing them, visiting our website, but most of all, going to events and demonstrations to support Palestinians and other justice causes. That's our program for today. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.